Hi, boys and girls. Miss Barbara here. It's been a long time since I've read to you, but I thought because it's Black History Month, it would be very important for you to hear a very important story about a woman named Rosa Parks. I hope you've heard of her. This story will tell you a little bit more about her life that you probably didn't already know. I am Rosa Parks. Growing up, I was small for my age. I was sick a lot too, since we didn't have money for a doctor. But that didn't mean I was weak. When I was 11, as I was walking home from school, a boy on roller skates came zipping by and shoved me. He thought I'd be an easy target. To his surprise, I turned around and pushed him back. I knew fighting was wrong, but I didn't want him picking on me again. His mother saw what happened. She was mad that he had pushed me. I'm sorry, he was mad that I had pushed him. But you know what made her even madder? I was black and her son was white. She immediately started yelling. No question, it was scary, but my mother and grandfather taught me to respect myself and to expect respect from others. So instead of backing down, I stood my ground, and calmly but firmly I explained. I wasn't just standing up to the mom or even to the boy on the roller skates. I was standing up for myself. After that, the boy and his mom never bothered me again. Still, it's hard to change things. Sometimes it can take a long time. Back then, if you were black, you were treated unfairly just because of the color of your skin. You weren't allowed to live in the same neighborhood as the white person. You could not eat in the same restaurant. You could not ride on the same elevator or use the same bathroom. You couldn't even drink from the same water fountain. One of the fountains was marked whites and the other for coloreds. When I was little, I used to wonder if white water tasted different from colored water. I even wondered if colored water came in lots of colors. But it didn't. The only difference was I had to walk outside or even down the block to get mine. Of course, it wasn't just about water fountains. This was my school. It was a small old wooden building with one room and one teacher for all of us. Everyone from the 5-year-olds to the 6th graders were stuffed in that one room. There was no windows, no desks, and barely any books. We also had to bring our books home every night. Why? Because we were worried that folks who hated the color of our skin would burn down our school. Now, here's the school for the kids who were white. Notice the difference? It was a new brick building with beautiful windows, new desks, and plenty of books, plus a playground. But there were plenty of, did I skip a page? Yes, I did. Also, if you were black, you had to walk to school. If you were white, you got to take a bus. The worst part was when I would walk home with my brother, the kids on the bus would throw trash at us. It made me feel horrible. But there were no civil rights back then. The only solution was to move off the road. And really, what kind of a solution is that? As I got older, things did not change much. One winter, I was waiting for the local city bus. If you were black, you had to ride in the back. If you were white, you rode up front. On the day, the back of the bus was packed. But there were plenty of seats in the front of the bus. I was just trying to find a place to sit. But as I entered through the front door of the bus, I tried to explain that there was no room to get in through the back. The driver did not care. He wanted me off the bus. He grabbed me by my coat sleeve. I dropped my purse near the front door. To pick it up, I sat on the front seat, a white seat. It made the driver madder than ever. That's what he called it, my bus, as if it were his. The bus wasn't his, though it belonged to all of us. Still, that afternoon, the driver got his way. He kicked me off. But I promised you that wasn't going to be the last time that I would face that bus driver. From there, in addition to working as a seamstress, I started working to change things. At the NAACP, we fought for fairer laws and made sure that people's stories were heard. I also stopped using colored water fountains. I'd rather go thirsty than be treated so poorly. It was the same with the separate elevators. Instead of riding them, I decided I would take the stairs. But as for the real change, even I didn't know what was coming. It was the end of a busy Thursday. I was 42 years old and on the bus going home. This time I was sitting in the first row of the seats that were allowed for black people. There was one old man next to me and two women across from me. It was the same driver from before, the exact same one from all those years earlier. At the third stop, a few white people got on, filling in all the rest of the empty seats. There was one white person left standing, so the driver told those of us in my row that we needed to move. At first, none of us moved, but when he asked again, the other three people got up, but I stayed right where I was. Sliding over to the window, I thought about what he was demanding. He wanted to take my seat away. He wanted to give it to that man. And why? Because I was black and the man was white? I knew what the rules were, but I also knew in my heart that's not how you treat people. Without a doubt, the driver was mad, but I never lost my cool, never raised my voice. People say that the reason that I refused to give up my seat was because I was tired. And I was, but it wasn't that kind of tired that comes from aching feet. The only thing that I was tired for was tired of giving in. Before me, there were other brave women who had refused to give up their seats. Still, on that day, for violating the rules of Montgomery, Alabama, I got arrested. But by standing up for myself, I ignited a movement. From there, the Montgomery bus boycott began. For 381 days, that's well over a year, all blacks in the city, and even a few whites, refused to ride the public bus. Finally, the rules were changed. Public buses were no longer allowed to separate people based on the color of their skin. That was only the beginning. Eventually, we were allowed to drink from the same water fountain, ride the same elevator, and yes, go to the same schools. In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson wrote that all men were created equal. Finally, the nation was starting to act like it. Of course, that didn't mean the fight was over. There were thousands of other people just like that bus driver. But after hearing how I didn't give up on my seat, there were now thousands more people just like me, together, inspired and committed to justice. In my life, people tried to knock me down. They tried to make me feel less than I was. They teased me for being small, being black, being different. Let me be clear. No one should be able to do that. But if they try, you must stand strong. Stand for what's right. Stand up for yourself, even if it means sitting down. And when you do, others will follow. I am Rosa Parks. I am not a politician or a president. I am not an actor or a famous business owner. But I am just an ordinary person. But I'm also proof that there's no such thing as an ordinary person. I hope that you always stand up for yourself, and I hope you'll remember that we're all in this together. And I think that is a great lesson, boys and girls. This is a picture of the real Rosa Parks. This is a picture of her when she was put in jail. And this is a picture of her when she sat on that famous bus. I hope you learned a lot from this story because I think Rosa Parks has a lot to offer. Remember, always stand up for what's right. Have a good night.